I see we are already being live streamed, is that correct?
Correct.
Welcome everybody, and the meeting will be live streamed, it's already turned on, and the press and public will be asked to leave the proceedings after the public business if there is a requirement to consider exempt appendices, and I understand that will be tonight, so we'll do that when we get to item 11. Okay then, so if Andrew could read the protocol.
Thank you, Chair. Just a reminder for committee members, only speak when invited to by the Chair. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand and direct all communications via the Chair. Please ensure that your mics are muted when you're not speaking, and you do have mic units in front of you in the room, should you be speaking. If you're referring to a specific page or picture in the report, refer to the page number. If you're having technical difficulties, please use the chat function in Google Meet to alert the meeting, or dial in with the phone number and using the PIN provided within the invite. Please do not use the chat function for putting formal questions to the committee or making any other comments, and any persistent disruptive behaviour will result in removal from the meeting. Many thanks.
Thank you. I have received apologies from Deputy Mayor Bramble, well, everyone else is here, yeah? So I've not been notified any urgent business to add to the agenda. Are there any declarations of interest from members?
No, Chair.
Okay. Right, as I said, we will be taking item. Yeah, it's right. It wasn't me for once. We have no deputations or questions I'm aware of. Can we look at the unrestricted minutes of the meeting on the 14th of February? Are we happy to agree those as a true record?
Agree.
Okay then, so we move on to item 7, vehicle removals and car-bound services. And I'm not sure, is it Bayo, Telugu or Michael Witorko going to speak to this? Michael.
Thank you, Chuck.
I got your name wrong.
No, that's correct. Michael Witorko. So I'm the service area manager in parking services. So I've got the privilege to bring forward the report for contract award. So it's recommended to be approved. And the main purpose of that contract is to allow the council and parking services to carry out its statutory functions of removing vehicles that are parked incorrectly and causing obstruction, along with taking actions against abandoned vehicles, nuisance vehicles, and all other motor vehicles that do cause some form of obstruction or other inconvenience to our residents. So the process has been followed fully, and all bids have been evaluated, and recommendations are to approve it to a single supplier. All the informations of the supplier are contained with the exempt appendixes 1 and 2. And that's a contract that has been put out to be outsourced following most of insourcing of the parking enforcement taking place from the 1st of April. The reason for that is the council wasn't able to deliver that services then in-house due to the requirements of special machinery and provisions. I welcome any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Any questions, Councillor Woodley?
I mean, just on that point, what scale of infrastructure, if you like, in terms of the training and equipment would actually be required? I don't know what the number of cars are that we remove in Hackney.
It's a very good question. We do remove over 1,000 vehicles across the year for various reasons. The main machinery that's required are the removal tracks, which are flatbed tracks with a crane, and the storage facility for those cars to be kept. That's the easy part that we could potentially do it ourselves. What is more complex is provisions to dismantle those cars, put the oils, coolants, and all of those for appropriate facilities. And then when the cars are scrapped is crashing facilities, so quite expensive and professional machinery to change the cars into a cube of metal, so to speak. So that is something that we rely on specialistic provider to have in line with all the legislation and regulations that go around it, which would be fairly expensive venture for a single council to do for themselves, really.
Any other questions or comments on this?
Yes, Chair. I was slightly worried that the single bid that made it through was only just over 50% on quality, wasn't it? Like,
yeah.
Only just. I think it was 50.44 or something.
Yeah.
Whereas on price, it achieved the whole 45% that was required. And that just made me question about whether the weighting and the consideration was right. My worry is it looks like they are really cheap but not very good.
Shall we hold that question until item 11 in the confidential? Because you have the appendix there which shows why people didn't bid, haven't you? So shall we'll hold that question and we'll come back to it, because I was going to ask the same thing as well. Under item 11, yeah?
Fine.
Is there any other questions that we can deal with at this stage? The only thing I had at the open agenda is that and I think connects with what's been said, we haven't not got much in the way of apprenticeships. We felt there wasn't much scope for that here. Yeah, it is quite a substantial contract, isn't it? So I just wonder what thought went into that and how you ended up rejecting that.
In regards to apprenticeships, so whilst the service that we require here requires the operatives to have driving licenses of quite higher category, which is C and D, to operate those tracks. We are looking to offset that with our insourcing project. So we will be looking to set up apprenticeship schemes in-house for our new enforcement service. So that wouldn't be for the removal operations, but it would be in the rest of that service.
Okay. Right. So what I guess we now move. I'm asking Andrew. Do we move now into the other item, or shall we deal with the? Should be easier to deal with the confidential bit of this item first.
I would suggest, in order to keep the continuity of the live stream, move to the next item.
Okay. So we'll defer decision on that until we get to item 11. Then sorry about that. So you've got to hang around for a bit. Okay. Then if you can then move to item 8, the contract award for contracts for main works in Marion Court, and I see Chris is on the line, but it says Max Anderson in my notes, but it's Chris Trow.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm going to introduce Max Anderson. Max is project manager for Marion Court, so he's got the granular detail on this. And there's also Jane Haverman in the meeting, who's the head of Estate Regeneration Programme. So you'll hear from all three of us this evening. But Max in the first instance, if that's okay, Chair.
Okay. I don't know. We're going to some items of this we'll need to consider under the confidential bit, aren't we? So if you'd just like to make an introduction to the sort of non-confidential bits of the report now, please. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Chris. A real brief introduction, because I don't want to hold the parking services team up either. Originally part of the 6 estate, this phase of Marion Court came to CPC in January 2021. This is Marion Court phases 3 and 4 to provide 160 new homes with ownership and 32 for social rent. As I say, in January 2021, CPC approved the award of contract to the preferred bidder and delegated authority to appoint, subject to the planning conditions being met, and secondly, vacant possession. So since CPC last year, we've been working with the last remaining resident to secure vacant possession, and we've completed all the conditions required for planning. But in tandem with this, we've asked bidders to price for an extension on 2 occasions, once in April 2021 and again in January 2022. And the reason for bringing it to CPIC today is the current prices submitted by contractors are valid until the 31st of March 2022, at which point we would expect their prices to increase significantly. And so to protect the council from any abortive costs or increased costs, our coming to CPC today is recommending that Cabinet Procurement and Insourcing Committee award the contract for the main works package for Marion Court to bidder C for the value set out in exempt appendix 3 and enter into the JCT D&B contract with all the ancillary legal document. As you stated, most of this item will be brought out in item 11 in the appendix.
Okay, is there any questions? Thank you very much for that. Are there any questions or comments in relation to the bit on the public agenda?
As it's, I believe, in the public papers, can we confirm about the vacancy or otherwise of the site currently, please?
We have one remaining resident and a removal is booked for next Tuesday, the 15th. In effect, this is to protect ourselves and ensure that we can get into contract and have a standstill period completed by March the 31st.
Is this the first removal booked, or have there been unsuccessful previous bookings?
Chair, can I ask that we pick up the rest of this conversation in the exempts?
Yeah, should we do that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, I just, unless I ask here, I don't give you the opportunity to say that it should be discussed elsewhere.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. We'll pick up in the second half, I think. So probably this is most appropriate thing. Okay then. Is there anything else we can on the open agenda on that? We can questions. Okay. The next meeting of the CPIC will be on the 11th of April 22. Okay, so if I can move then the exclusion of the public and press. We got the words for that somewhere, or just to us move that?
It should be on the briefing, Chair, but I can read it out for members. So,
oh yeah,
as per the wording on the agenda, the proposed resolution is that the press and public are excluded from the proceedings of the Cabinet and Procurement and Insourcing Committee during consideration of exempt items 12 and 13 on the agenda, on the grounds that it is likely, in view of the nature of the business to be transacted, there were members of the public to be present. There will be a disclosure of exempt business as defined in paragraph 3 of part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972 as amended.
I found it now, but thank you very much. Can we agree with that?
Agreed.
Agreed. Okay. So if we can go back to the